The story begins with someone expressing their refusal to accept the divorce. A man confronts his partner, stating that if she had intentions of being unfaithful, she should have left a long time ago. The girl with blue hair questions the idea of divorce. The man then reveals that he knows she has feelings for another man, which deeply affects our female protagonist. She questions whether he truly expects her to believe that. Especially since she has only ever had eyes for him since they were children. He rests his head on her shoulder and tells Safina that she shouldn't have saved him that day. Our female lead appears solemn as she reflects on how everything came to this point. The pages of a book flutter in the wind as she mentions discovering at the age of 10 that the world she lived in was merely a novel. She had been sent on an errand to the forest by her sister, and as her feet touched the ground, she encountered a wounded white creature. She recalls finding a large injured cat in this very forest. At that time, she had not yet gained the ability to transform into a human, but the cat was bleeding profusely. She expresses her fear and anxiety. Hopping and twirling around, she then retraces her steps. Gathering various herbs and leaves, she felt a strong urge to help the injured cat. The scene shifts to her carefully placing the leaves on the cat's wounds. Once finished, she unintentionally falls asleep on the soft white fur. Time passes, and she remains asleep with a leaf blanket covering her. In her dreamlike state, she wonders about the pleasant scent surrounding her. Her eyes suddenly widen, and she questions the whereabouts of the cat. She ponders whether it recovered and left without a word of gratitude. Frustration builds within her as she clutches her head, as all of the memories from her previous life pours into her mind. She talks about how the only thing she could make out was that she used to be a passionate reader of romance novels in her previous life, and that she somehow got reincarnated into a novel that she absolutely loved reading. So, she lies down next to a tree and continues to ponder. She reflects on how she was reborn into a novel and became a character called Safina, a bluebird. She also realizes that she has forgotten almost everything else about her past life. However, she still vividly remembers the book she was reincarnated into. It was an adult-rated romance novel, filled with extravagant characters, and out of all the characters, she happened to be reincarnated as the main villainous character named Safina. This loner bluebird was obsessed with the male lead from the lion family and always caused trouble for them. Initially, she entered into a strategic marriage with the male lead, but it turned out to be an unhappy union. The lion family expected an eagle, the leader of all birds, to be their hostess and refused to accept a mere bluebird like Safina as their leader. After enduring mistreatment from the other lions, Safina eventually found solace in the arms of her then-husband, Richard Chadwick, who was the only one with enough power to help her. However, she mistakenly interpreted her desire to live as love and ended up causing a lot of trouble in her attempts to win Richard's affection. Unfortunately, all her actions only caused him suffering. When the male lead went off to battle, he returned with a prisoner from an enemy faction. He fell deeply in love with the true female lead, a deer. Just witnessing this made Safina incredibly jealous, which led her to commit even more terrible acts. In the end, she was rejected by the male lead and was stoned to death by the entire lion clan, who despised her completely. She was a character destined to meet her end by the conclusion of the tale. Our avian protagonist, now filled with sorrow, contemplates the inevitable fate awaiting her. As she lies there, she muses on her current state as a mere bluebird, unable to transform into a human. Yet, despite her knowledge of the story, she finds herself unable to depart and seek refuge elsewhere. Opting to bide her time and plan her escape, she waits patiently. Time passes, and it is now winter. 3 years later, our female lead trembles in the cold, questioning whether her elder sister assigned her an impossible task. Having acquired the ability to shift into a human form, she now faces more challenging missions from her sister. Her current objective is to locate strawberries in the midst of winter. Born as the sole bluebird among a clan of eagles, Safina is a troublemaker within the Great Eagle Clan, a prominent faction in the Avan Alliance governing the Western continent. Unaware of why she hatched alongside eagles, she faces rejection from many of the hostile eagles who refuse to acknowledge her as kin. A man informs her that he will preserve her existence until she proves useful one day. As the patriarch of the family, he barely tolerates her presence, leading her siblings to torment her daily. Lamenting her lack of footwear and the biting cold, she ponders her sister's leadership within the clan and the unlikelihood of ripe strawberries in winter. viewing it as a pretext for mistreatment. She fears being confined to the attic if she returns empty-handed, reverting to her bluebird form. She grasps the basket with her beak and takes flight, intending to confront her tormentors after. Resting in her chamber, upon entering through the window, she notices the eerie silence and emits a chirp. A girl reprimands her for being noisy and commands her to leave. Ignoring the warning, Safina continues to chirp, prompting the girl to flick her away, admonishing her for the insolence. Safina winces in pain and exclaims, "Ouch," while the other girl remarks, "Safina, you've come back at the perfect time." She quickly grabs a basket and instructs Safina to follow her quietly, warning of the consequences if she doesn't. The girl then reveals that a lion, the king of beasts, has infiltrated their house. Safina blushes, realizing that this lion is the one she was strategically married to. As Safina follows the girl, she realizes that this may be the beginning of a novel and senses the tense atmosphere within the family. The eagles have recently offended the lions, leading to strained relations between the two clans. However, it is surprising that they are attacking the eagle territory, which is the size of a small kingdom. Safina wonders why they aren't trying to escape and notices that the lion's roars are becoming louder. Her sister suddenly stops and expresses confusion over the secret passage not appearing. This shocks Safina, who questions why her sister is leading them in the opposite direction and doubts her capabilities as a leader. Safina fears that they are doomed and desperately hopes to escape the impending disaster. Suddenly, a lion emerges with a ring of fire surrounding it, its fierce eyes fixed ahead as it stomps the ground, causing it to crack under its weight as it approaches the sisters. Safina worries that it may already be too late and that everything will be over if the lion bites her. However, her sister grabs her leg, bravely confronting the beast and pulling Safina back. She then throws a bird and urges Safina to go first. Safina realizes that her sister is using her as bait to save herself and resigns to the fact that this may be the end. Feeling miserable about her life, with her eyes closed, she awaits her fate. When she finally opens her eyes, she finds herself perched on top of the lion's nose. She is astonished and exclaims in chirping sounds, which translate to, "I must be crazy!" Nervously, our female lead remains seated on the beast's nose. Suddenly, the lion sneezes, causing our female lead to be sent flying. She lands on the floor with a thud before sitting up and holding her left eye. She notices a symbol on top of the lion's head, which appears to be a crown, only supposed to appear on the leader. This must mean he's the head of the lion family. This lion is going to be her future mother-in-law, known as Con Chadwick, the name of the lion who is the head of this generation in the original novel. She was said to have the greatest strength and abilities out of all the lions. Our female lead covers her mouth in awe, yelling that she is a prisoner who can do anything. She raises both her wings up in fear, yelling, "I surrender," twice. It is then that the lion puts its nose right next to the blue bird. Safina notes that she is so scared as the lion starts to lick her. The beast thinks, "This is a blue bird." Our female lead can hear this voice in her head, which is the voice of Con Chadwick. It is said that high-ranking beast men can convey their thoughts to others around them. Our female lead starts to blush, noting how amazing her mother is. She recalls how if they're cool, they are her older sister. If they're cute, they are her younger sister. And if they're strong, they're her mother. The lion makes contact with our female lead, who looks down at the ground, wondering if she had been staring too openly. The lion thinks this was refreshing. And the reaction was instant. Our female lead seems to have misheard the word fresh, and wonders if that means Khan finds her appetizing right now, like a live fish. This causes our female lead's soul to exit her body, and she faints. As she continues to lay there, Khan looks down at her, confused. It is then that our female lead springs back up off the ground and decides to act cute. She reads and wonders if the bird is asking to fight or something. Our female lead then moves her wings around and tries to signal that she does not wish to fight. Mother something then seems to have caught the eye of Khan as she notes that pattern on the bird. Our female lead seems to get embarrassed and covers herself as she wonders if something is wrong with her body, especially since she takes good care of it. Khan then picks up our female lead and moves out. She walks down the hall and runs into another group of lions. Our female lead starts to tear up as she is held up. She is in fear and wonders where in the world she is being taken. Time passes as she then notes how she is now at her father's office. The door is then slammed open as we see father sitting on the ground in fear. Two lions then walk in with Safina still being held. Our female lead covers her eyes as she notes her father is restrained and that she doesn't want to see anything cruel. Khan then tells a nearby lion to take this bird and go play in the garden. She is then gently placed at the top of the head of the other lion. Safina notes how no matter how they look at it, it's obvious that Khan wants to discuss this alone with her father. She is sure that her father is more than willing to sell her out. She curls her wings up into a fist and thinks about how she's going to get married. It's hard to escape from the original story. Now it is said that beasts each have a unique ability depending on what species they are. The eagles have a specialty in the ability to track even just by looking at a single feather. They'd be able to track their target's whereabouts. Despite knowing about this ability, she still hated this family so much that she attempted to run away many times. Just last month, she ran away while pretending to do errands but was caught and scolded. As she laid, she wondered why they keep chasing a young one like her, and how hungry she is. Additionally, there was some sort of prophecy that she doesn't know about that said the blue bird is considered a bad omen among birds. Even if she managed to escape from this place, there would be nowhere for her to go. No place would accept her because there is no place that welcomes bluebirds. In that case, it might be better for her to become the male lead's wife, just like in the original novel. At least she can get away from the eagles who harass her, and she already knows how her future will unfold. The only reason this happened was because she became obsessed with the male lead. In this life, she decides to avoid getting obsessed and chooses to live in shame. Eventually, she plans to divorce him cleanly and become independent. She continues to think about how she'll be a free-spirited beast who doesn't care about being evil or jealous. She'll just choose to sleep more. Once she becomes an adult and is independent, she will finally be able to live comfortably. From then on, she raises her wings up in excitement, knowing that she'll live well. Later, we see the father apologizing for the rude remarks he made during their last meeting. He didn't know it was her back then. He then asks if he can make a suggestion while Khan lounges on the couch. She mentions how annoying this is. The father bows down and says that if Khan lets him live, he will send her tribute every year from now on. He will also give her gold and jade, as well as the daughter he has raised with great care. In his mind, he thinks about how he can't give up his precious biological daughter, so he'll take this chance to give away Safina, who has been a nuisance anyways. Khan slowly rips the couch apart as she asks if the father is trying to form a marriage alliance. The father explains that the eagle family represents the bird alliance, and if the lions ally with them, they can open the Lemon Canal to the land blessed by God. He will ask the others in the alliance to pay tribute every year as well. Khan says that it's not a bad offer, considering their original purpose was to study lemons. Khan then mentions the bluebird, and the father agrees. Khan says that the bluebird will be her son's bride, just like the father mentioned. She remembers the moment when she felt a familiar energy emanating from the patterns on the bluebird's wings. It was the same energy as her first son, as if the pattern on the bird's wings was a second heart. This could only happen if some kind of agreement had been made with Anato Khan. She doesn't know how they are connected, but if she is going to form a marriage alliance, it would be wise to choose someone who has a connection to her son. There is also the matter of the blue bird mentioned in the prophecy. If that child is the blue bird, Khan will need to protect her and keep her close. The father wonders where the lion's leader met Safina, and he laughs on the outside, agreeing to do as Khan said. Khan then mentions that the tribute will be 10 million Kaliya per year, which makes the father nervous as he realizes it's the family budget for 5 years. However, he assures Khan that he will try his best and give her as much as she wants. Khan asks if he truly means it, and then gives him a death stare, causing the father to sweat nervously in fear. Khan questions why the father keeps looking at her, and what he is hiding. Later, we see the father lying on the ground unconscious as Khan leaves the room. She realizes that he still hasn't said a word. She knows she will have to slowly uncover what he is hiding. As she walks through the corridor, she transforms into a human form and a coat appears. She laughs to herself, wondering if the blue bird is enjoying herself. Stepping outside into the garden, she sees the other lion and Safina still there. Our female lead moves her wings around, almost like she's dancing, before lying on the lion's body. She remarks on how difficult it is to play along with a lion. Suddenly, the lion stands up and she falls face first onto the ground. Someone then greets her with a hello as she lies there.